Yo, hear me out. There's a theory in sports that says that you can go back and trace the start of a team's success and the start of a team's downward spiral back to a single game, and sometimes a single play. Now, look, week 8 in the NFL just happened, right? And we're going to talk about a lot of the storylines that came out of it, but let's go to the primetime game, okay? Because this has been on my mind. Let's go to the primetime game, Dallas Cowboys versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now, look, we kind of know what the Cowboys are, and we believe we kind of know what the Niners are. They're hurt, but we still have some level of trust in them because of Kyle, because of the unbelievable players that they have, the defense. But I'm just going to say what's on everybody's mind. Yo, Dak is so fucking mid, bro. He's so mid. And I don't want to come up here and then you're going to look at me and be like, hey, yo, that's the next, Dak hater. Nah, man. I'm not even like that. Look, I want that. We want Dak to do well. Everybody that, hates on Dak and the Cowboys, there's a part of them, that wants Dak and the Cowboys to do well. And I don't know about the Cowboys part, but for me, it's definitely the Dak part. Because if you listen to Dak, if you know the type of, if you followed his career and you look at what he is actually as an individual and as a quarterback, you want him to do well. But holy fuck, dude. This guy is so mid. And you know what it is? He is mid at every aspect of playing quarterback in the National Football League. There's no aspect where you can tell me that Dak is exceptionally better than anybody else at. Like, I get it, people are going to talk about the contract, this, that. Nah, I'm not even going to go with the money because I think he earned that money. Yo, look, it's a National Football League. You get what the market says you're worth. And the market said he's worth $60 million. And if Dallas didn't give it to him, I can bet you that somebody else in the National Football League would have. Right? Like, so to me, we're not going to even talk about the contract, nothing. My thing is this, dude. Like, he is just so mid. And I don't know if it's a play calling or what it is, but if you watch that game against the San Francisco 49ers, that we knew that Dallas has struggled against their defense. Their offense has struggled against their defense. And Dak in particular has struggled against that defense. But, like, to throw some of the throws, man, it's just some of the throw. And I'm not even a Cowboys fan, but I felt it, and I felt it with I know a bunch of Cowboys fans, so I feel like I heard it from a lot of places, but like I felt it when they just panned and saw some of the faces on the Cowboys. Like, that is tough when you just throw a double covered go ball and like you're pretty much punting, right? Like, you're surprised that you got intercepted. Dude, what are we talking about? This is early in the game. Just pick up the first down, keep the drive moving. But no, you want to, you know what the crazy thing is? He ended with 2 interceptions in that game. If you watch that game, you know that there's more than probably 4. There's at least 3 picks. The one that Fred Warner dropped. There's another one earlier in the game as well. So I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know if it's Big Mike, I just feel like they don't have a pulse on their team. You know what I mean? And to me, I thought they got good production out of the running back room. Dalvin Cook steps in. He gives you some good things. Zeke obviously gets the touchdown late. Like, your star receiver felt like they didn't even want to cover him sometimes. Like, to me, you're right. It just makes. And the other thing, this is the other thing. If you watch that game, yeah, were there times where, the pressure got to Dak quick? Sure. But there was also times where he had a lot of time in the pocket. Like, it wasn't like this guy was getting rushed every, in his passing game. Nah, man, he had time. It just felt like he is insecure with the play calling or something. because it's not like we haven't seen this side of Dak. We've seen it his entire career. But this season in 2024 with all the and to be fair, right, I've said this before, in sports you play with against your expectations or with your expectations, right? What were the expectations for the Dallas Cowboys this year? Not in my book. They were going into the year, they're not a playoff team. Look, you haven't done enough on your talent to acquire talent to think that you are a playoff team in the East, let alone in the NFC as a whole. So my thing is this: even the only way you make the playoffs is if you win your division, which they have been successful doing, 1 or 2 in that division, right? The Eagles get off to a slow start. The Giants are what they are. Washington obviously got off to a pretty good start, and they've been able to continue it. So that's their surprise. But like, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're like, dude, what do we even, and this is, the only thing I'll say is this, right? Like Stephen A. Smith, obviously he's notorious for hating on the Cowboys. The one thing he always says that I completely agree with when it comes to this is that, the Cowboys enjoyed 4 like pretty much free wins every year since in the Dak Prescott era, right? You would always you beat the Giants twice and you beat the Commanders twice, and then you split with Philly, like that. 4 to 5 wins in your division was pretty much handed to you, guaranteed. But he's so fucking mid. There are probably 4 Dak Prescotts in just the NFC. You're not going to sit here and tell me that Derek Carr is steps behind Dak Prescott. That is absurd. Watch the tape. I'm not saying that, I'm the biggest Derek Carr fan but I'm saying if you look at the comparison of the two, it's just like they do the same things. You make mistakes when you can't. You throw the ball that you can't throw. Like, these are moments of the game that we need to have it. But there are also moments of spectacular aspects to their game, right? Like for example, Derek Carr is probably one of the best deep ball throwers in football. He's really good at that, right? Dak is just mid all the way through. I don't think he does anything. He's probably one of the best leaders because it's tough to wear the star on your helmet. It's tough to play in Dallas, and we get all that. So we've given him grace for years because of that as well. He's also enjoyed the money and the success that's come with wearing the star on his helmet. But I'm saying, as a fan, right, and this show is going to be about the fans' perspective. As a fan, that he, is at times disappointing. That's all it is, man. And we, as a fan, and I'm not saying I'm a fan of the Niners in any way. I will talk about the Niners a lot on this show because I have family from there, and a lot of my friends are Niners fans as well. So I get that they were gonna win, and I think a lot of the money was on them as well. So, but man, it's just so frustrating to see how he plays in big moments. Like, it's a primetime game that it felt like you're unprepared for. You're unprepared for the moment. And a lot of it has to go to Mike. Look, we have to talk about this as well. It's 3rd and 3, right? It's your first drive of the game. You're down 3-0, right? You're like at your own 30 yard line, right? Like, before you get into a rhythm, you're gonna throw a go ball. If it's like zero, if it's a 0 all-out blitz and something, and it's man coverage on the outside or something like that, there's a coverage mismatch, and you feel like you need to run one out, and the other routes that you're running are kind of in the middle of the field, a dig route or a crosser, fair, right? But the interception he throws is a 2-man route. And one of them is a goal ball that he ends up throwing into double coverage, and it gets intercepted. To me, it's like, dude, let's let's get some momentum first. You're on the road. Let's pick up the first down. Let's get a drive going before. So this guy is sitting on, standing on the sidelines, calling plays, acting like he's not and this is the reason he wanted Kellen Moore is because, Kellen was running up the score. He was doing this. He was doing that. No, I'm going to run it differently. And what the fuck is the difference? You guys are so cheeks. And then last week, I saw these, these talking heads on ESPN talk about it was unfair for Jerry, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, to call out Mike McCarthy on his weekly or whatever the fuck radio show. What are we talking about? You're telling me it's unfair? First of all, nothing that he said you as pundits on ESPN or whatever the fuck disagreed with. Right? Second, you're telling me, and it's inappropriate because he is talking about he's questioning the knowledge. He's not. He's holding his coach accountable through the media. If you can do it to players, you can do it to coaches. Like, it's not the most absurd thing Jerry has said. Like, I'm going to tell you this, Mike McCarthy knew what he was getting into when he took the job. Okay? He's never been that good of a coach. He's mid at best. And he's proven that his entire tenure in Dallas. He's so mid. And he's made a mid quarterback look even more fucking mid. Sure, can Dak win you some games? Yes. Can he maybe get you into the playoffs? Maybe. Not if you're in the AFC, ever, I don't think. Right? You're not going to win 10 games in the AFC in any division. Right? But could he get you into the playoffs? Yeah, maybe. Could he win you a playoff games? Hell no. And I'm not even going off of like his record and like the history of it. Nah, man. It's just like, I'm just saying, could he win you the Super Bowl the way his play style is? Hell no. Hell no. He is not good enough. He's not good enough in moments. Dude, I've said this for years. As a fan of the sport and as a fan of teams, right? You don't necessarily need to have a quarterback that's good every fucking time they touch the ball, because that's unrealistic. You know what you want? You want a quarterback that is good in moments, that in moments where it's a must have it's a situational time that they're going to give you there's a level of trust that they're going to provide you whatever you need, whether it's a field goal, whether it's a touchdown, whatever. And Dak comes up small in moments way too often. Way too often, man. And you know what it is? They still have not recovered from how the Packers beat them. I honestly believe that. They have not recovered from how the Packers came into Jerry World and whooped their ass. And I don't know where they go from here, but speaking about quarterback play, Anthony Richardson, holy fuck. Holy fuck, dude. I don't know how Colts fans feel. I've spoken to some of them, but like, I don't know how Colts fans feels, but wow, Anthony Richardson, like, so I'm going to provide some context, okay? The Colts go, it's a divisional game against the Houston Texans. And Anthony Richardson's not really playing that well. I feel like his receivers didn't really help him that much. I felt like the play calling didn't really help him that much. He didn't play that well. The completion percentage wasn't good. Third quarter comes, first and goal. I can't remember what happened on first and goal. Second and goal, he gets sacked, so they go out of, they're on like the 20, 30-yard line. While he doesn't get sacked, actually. He's about to get sacked. He throws a motherfucker. He throws a motherfucker with one arm. Flings his arm, throws a motherfucker on the ground, runs, gets back to the line of scrimmage. Boom, he goes down. And it's third and goal at like the 20. All right, this is to take the lead or tie the game or something. I'm missing some of it, right? But like that's pretty much the setup. He asked the coach to take him out of the game because, and we assumed I'm watching this game live. I assumed he was like hurt or something. I'm like, okay, cool. Joe Flacco comes in the game. Joe Flacco, boom, turns around. JT right in his gut, passes the ball off. They get like 4 or 5 yards, kick the field goal, whatever, keep it moving. Hello, right? After the game, the reporters asked him what happened. The Colts end up losing, by the way, a huge game. Okay, because if they win this game, they're first place in the AFC South. They lose this game now. Whatever happens next happens. But like, like that was a huge game in the context of their entire season, not just like week 8 or like divisional game. Nah, this is a huge game in the context of your entire season. So the reporter asked Anthony Richardson after the game, and what happened on that play, and he said, "Look, I just got tired, and I tapped out, and I asked the coach to take me out of the game." What the fuck are we talking about? In week 8, my quarterback is tired. In a have-it situation? In a must-have-it situation. I don't know. I don't know how everybody else felt about this. I haven't watched any of the ESPN people. I'm sure they had comments about this. But to me, like, first of all, AR, dude, that is an indoor voice type of statement. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, like, we want AR to do well. It's not like this guy is, somebody that, like, we want to see what he can actually do with that. He's built like LeBron. What do we talk? This guy has one of the most unique builds in the NFL right now at the quarterback position, right? But like those types of things are indoor voices, right? They need to be indoor voices because we can't have that. We cannot have that in the media because now it just screams that there's a lack of leadership in that locker room. And this is like the Colts are not in a situation where they could punt on the year because where do you go from there? Everybody on their team is paid. Everybody down. Quentin Nelson, your offensive line, your entire offensive line is paid, right? Quentin Nelson, I remember a couple years ago they were like, "Oh, this guy's like the best offense." He's average now, but maybe that's because the quarterback play hasn't been good. I don't know what it is. Okay, Jonathan Taylor, you remember last year, or was it last year? Start of the year, right? He sits out because he's like, "Yo, they're not paying me. They pay him." Right, the defense, everybody on the defense is paid. Michael Pittman on the offense got paid. Like everybody, I feel seemingly seems like everybody on that team is like paid. So they are not in a situation where they can punt on the year and be like, "Yo, we'll get." No, dude, we need to fucking win. And then when you see the offense with Joe Flacco versus with AR, it's like, what the fuck are we doing? And I'll be the first to say this. I think AR deserves to start. He's going to start. He should be the starter. I'm not saying that they need to go with Joe Flacco. My thing is only this, dude. He needs media training because that, like, I don't know how you can go back to the locker room and, when everybody sees this and they're able to process exactly what their quarterback just said. I don't know how that happens, but he needs media training, and B, like, his receivers need to fucking help him. Like, I'm sorry, but like there was a lot of drop. I'm not making excuses for the guy. I'm just saying, like, I kind of am making excuses for the guy. There was a lot of drops, and there were a lot of situational things. I felt like Shane, as great of a head coach he is, and I say that because I think the jury's still out on Shane, but I assume that he's a great head coach. Look, as great as a head coach he is, the play calling in spots wasn't good enough, right? Like that, you're backed up in your own, like, I don't know, like 7-yard line. You're in your own 7-yard line, and there's 25 seconds on the clock. And then you try to throw it on your first and second down. The third down, you just run the ball and you go to halftime, right? 10-10 game. But no, instead, and even when, the broadcast team is telling them, yo, you probably shouldn't throw the ball here, because on second down, when you did throw it, you almost got intercepted. On third down, you do throw it. AR makes a bad decision. It gets intercepted at like the 10-yard line. CJ Stroud comes out, throws a absolute perfect ball to Tank Dell. They go up 17-10 at the half. Like, completely avoidable situation to happen. I just felt like Shane needs to be aware of the entirety of what's happening in the game. I didn't love that play call. I get it. You want to be a little bit aggressive. I just felt like on the first 2 downs, you saw how it went. You just hand the ball off. You get to the locker room 10-10. The whole game is a little bit different. You come out 17-10. Very different situation. I thought their defense played well against CJ. If you flip to the CJ side, like, dude, they didn't protect him that well. And I felt like DeForest Buckner coming back for the Colts, that really helped. But I think going forward for the Houston Texans, like, dude, that offensive line needs to play a lot better, because he's hanging in there, and he's taking a lot of big shots. And I'm not saying that their offensive line is bad. I feel like they just had some difficulty keeping up with the fronts that Indy threw at them. And obviously it's a divisional game, but even last week, if you look at what the Packers did with the Texans against the Texans, like, I just felt like they struggled in moments, right? So that offensive line needs to play better if they're going forward. Now, speaking of plays and everything that happened in storylines in week 8 of the NFL, look, what the fuck happened to Seattle? I am almost disgusted to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. But what the fuck happened to Seattle? I'm old enough to remember there was a time where it was tough. It used to be tough to play in Seattle. Oh, it's the loudest place. This, that. What the fuck happened there? This team is tough to watch. And I love Seattle. I love the Seattle Seahawks. I've been to their games. I have family out there. They're huge Seattle Seahawks fans. But, like, what, I was a huge Pete Carroll fan. I felt like the way Pete handled himself was incredible. They got rid of him, and the people in Seattle, they were crying about this for a while. Whatever. We'll see if the grass is greener on the other side. They get rid of him, okay, and they get Mike McDonald from Baltimore, right? And I'm not questioning McDonald's coaching in 8 games. That's a ridiculous thing to do. My only thing is this. You thought it was okay to hire an offensive coordinator from college, to think that you could run a better offense than what Shane Waldron did last year, who was up, like, I don't know how that guy got employed again in the National Football League as an OC. I don't understand it, right? But you're telling me that you thought it was a good idea to do that because, what, you had the right players? Like, to me, if you have the talent and you think that a college offensive coordinator can step into the NFL and, have success, fair. But I just feel like you need an offense to be creative, because you lack the requisite talent to put it over the top with just basic concepts. So you need to be creative to make up for the talent disparity. You just do, right? And they haven't done that. They've squeaked by games because they, have outplayed in spots. But they haven't played great competition either. So to me, you go into this game against the Buffalo Bills in week 8, right? And at no point, right, did the Seattle like team look like they were in sync. At no point. Missed snaps, like Geno Smith is tripping over his lineman on a 4th and goal. The center snaps the ball fucking 25 yards behind Geno. Like, what are we talking about? Look, details of the game is what Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll did so extremely well. Situational football and just having the fucking details down. And that's Seattle Stadium. Like, that was half of it was Buffalo Bills fans. Good for them, by the way. The Bills travel, man. But this used to be a place where teams were scared to play. And now, it just feels like I want to go to Seattle and just watch the Seattle Seahawks be absolutely like fucking shit because they can't run simple concepts. And then I don't know what the media felt about this, but Jaron, there was a couple of defenders on the Seattle Seahawks. I'm missing their names right now, but they were fighting on the sidelines, which is good, by the way. At no point am I saying that was something that created no, I'm saying, yo, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks and you actually watch how the fuck they're playing and everything that's gone around that in that building and that organization, right? When you just watch the play on the field, yes, I would fight my teammate too, because there needs to be some level of accountability and juice, right? This is the sole reason I would have fired Pete Carroll after these couple decisions, okay? Y'all tell me, when has a NFL team ever been successful building a defense from outside in? Ever. I can't think of a single example where that has ever worked in the NFL. So when Pete thought that it was a good idea to build from his secondary in to the interior line, like, it's never worked and never will. And I would have fired him solely for that. But that defense, for all the first round picks that you spent, they're fucking butter soft. They can't tackle. They can't rally to the ball. They can't get turnovers. They can't get pressure to the quarterback. Like, they struggle at so many aspects. And I always go back to this. You get Devin Witherspoon at the 5th overall pick. Great pick. I'm not saying that. Jalen Carter is still on the board. At a point where you need interior pressure. You absolutely need, in the NFC West especially, going up against a Matt Stafford, a Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, you need to have interior pressure. And the best 3 technique in football is Jalen Carter. And you go and get corner, a defensive back, which again, he's going to be a phenomenal player. My thing is situation at the time. You needed somebody to step in and anchor your defensive line because the trenches are so fucking important in football. Newsflash, like, this isn't, I'm not like, breaking news to anybody, right? If you're a football fan, I don't care. Right, if you've been a football fan for, a year or 50 years, you understand that the trenches is where you win football on either side. On either side of the ball, you win in the trenches. You have to win in the trenches. And that is my biggest problem with some of these teams, thinking that you can become relevant in the NFL without building in the trenches. You have to have a good offensive line. You must have a good defensive line, because it doesn't matter what else you have. It just simply doesn't. It just simply doesn't, dude. It doesn't matter how good your secondary is if you can't get pressure, because you cannot ask defensive backs to cover for fucking 5 seconds. Not in the NFL, dude. You can't. Like, what are we talking about? This is not, the XFL where, like, that is, can be allowed. Nah, man. like every rule created already allows the offense to play, well. So every rule is against the defense anyways. And then on top of which, you're giving the offense more time because you can't get pressure. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not putting any of this on Geno Smith. And simply because, Geno is Geno. We understand who he is, right? We understand when Geno's going to be great. Obviously, without DK, it was going to be tough. But, like, my thing is, they don't like running the ball. You have two dynamic runners in K9 and Zach. But you like, it's the same thing with Trevor and Jacksonville. They have dynamic runners, but they just don't like running the ball that much. Which, okay, if you want to throw it 50 fucking times a game and think that you're going to be successful, fair, albeit to you. I wonder how Geno feels about that, though, right? Does he want, like, when he's taking the hits that he is, like, does he want to be throwing the football 50 times? I don't know. Maybe. But, like, let's help our offensive line a little and run the fucking football. And my thing is that the offensive line in Seattle is actually pretty good. Charles Cross has played well, right? So, like, their offensive line is pretty good. But you have to have some level of, like, cohesion. Like, it just feels like they're so out of sync, dude. They're so out of sync. And this is like 3-4 games in a row where I'm watching this and I'm like, holy shit, dude. The details of the game are so fucking lost on this team. And you could never say that about a Seattle team under Pete Carroll. And look, I understand that, it's tough to replace somebody like that. But you took the job knowing that you will always be compared to Pete. This is a pretty, historic franchise in their success under Pete Carroll. So, yes, you will always be measured under what you do as compared to what Pete did. Sorry, right? And I'm not going to judge Mike because I think that, there's a lot of football still left, and it's tough to judge a coach after 8 games. I think he's going to be great. I feel like when you hear him talk, it's like he says all the right things, he does all the right things, but it's going to get loud in Seattle if you do not figure out the details of the game, dude. Because regardless of, the play on the field, in terms of execution and things like that in the offense and all that, it's just like the little things, right? Snaps, it's the quarterback center exchange, it's the running back quarterback exchange, it's just those like little like penalties and things like that you need to clean up before you can even think about throwing the ball down the field and like executing big plays and things like that. Like before you even get to that, right? And I don't know how long Byron Murphy is going to be out. I don't think he played in this last game, but hopefully he comes back because I know that he's going to change the fortune of what they are on that side of the football. But it is what it is. Now, let's move on to New York. Holy shit. The Jets are a fucking disaster, too. And I love Aaron, man. I feel for A-Rod. I feel for Aaron because he went to a franchise not knowing how, or maybe he did. Okay, I don't want to say maybe he didn't know. He went to a franchise that is historically bad. Look, if it wasn't for the Detroit Lions' recency bias and the success that they've had recently, we have to understand that the New York Jets are arguably one of the worst sports franchises in sports. Like, this is a historically bad run franchise. They're terrible at so many things. They can't manage shit. You want to fire your head coach after 5 games in the NFL? And then you want to come out as an owner and say that, oh, I was thinking about it for a while. Then fucking do it in the off season. Why would you wait until week 5, dude? And think that, by replacing him, the intern's going to come in and win me 10 straight wins. Like, what are we talking about? This is the National Football League. You've been an owner for like 25 years. Ambassador. You've been the owner for far too long to understand that an interim head coach never does well. Like, And by well, I mean win the Super Bowl. Okay? Because that, let's be honest here, that was the expectation. I said this earlier in this episode. You know, in sports, it's about expectations and limiting expectations and reaching expectations. Now, what were the expectations for the New York Jets? Super Bowl. That was it. Right now, you're sitting after 8 games, 2-6, and you lost to your rival. And look, you know, there's a lot of things to be said about New England, but I told people, and Jets fans as well, that this New England team is going to be tough to beat this week, solely because it is tough to call football players soft. It is, dude. Those are fighting words. That's a not, like being called soft as a football player it's personal in many ways. And I imagine that Gerard Mayo knew what he was doing, because that team came out and they didn't play that soft. So I felt like, if it was any game that they were going to win, it was going to be against the New York Jets. And oh my God, dude. Oh my God. I feel for Aaron, because he went to a place that they are allergic to prosperity. They cannot win with this. I don't even know what it is. But here's the biggest thing about them. That building lacks clear leadership. Clear fucking leadership they lack. They don't have it from Ambassador. They don't have it from Joe, the GM, Joe Douglas. Is that the GM? Yeah. And I thought, Rob Saleh is a good Bob Saleh is a good coach. He's a good fucking ball coach. That defense was playing well under Bob Saleh. But regardless, if you wanted to get rid of him, I understand. I'm saying you should have done it before the season started, so whoever the fuck you hired next could have a clean slate. But no, you wanted to do it 5 weeks in and then think that, you were going to just rip off, 10 wins. To me, wow, how delusional can you be? It just screamed like you are unprepared for success, because the Jets haven't had any in 30 years. So, look, I feel for Aaron, man. I hope that he gets this turned around, and they win, because I want, look, on this show, I'm not gonna be here talking shit about Aaron Rodgers. Okay, are we gonna hold him accountable? Absolutely. But I'm not gonna come on here and talk shit about quarterback play when it comes to Aaron. Just because I feel like it's the Jets, dude. Let's not forget that it's the Jets. And if you're new to football, I'm going to tell y'all right now, don't choose the Jets to be a fan of. Okay? Because they will always let you down. That is a historically bad franchise. And if you're not new to football, you understand. You understand. It's them. It's the Cleveland Browns. And if it wasn't for the recency, it would probably be the Detroit Lions, right? It would be like those three for sure that you don't want to be fans of. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, right? That win that you got against the Baltimore Ravens with Jameis Winston, who best backup in the NFL by far. Okay, Jameis Winston. I just want to go on record and say, Jameis was my favorite quarterback. For a long time. I still love Jameis. Anytime Jameis Winston plays football, I want to watch. I watched him at Florida State. I loved what Jameis brought to football. I love whatever the fuck he says before games, after games. He quotes Eminem after that win against Baltimore. So I love Jameis. I'm happy for Jameis. He gets his first win in his first start. But Yeah, you don't want to be a fan of the Cleveland Browns either, because that team will, like, honestly give you depression. So, look, I feel for Aaron. Getting back to that, I hope that they turn it around. But Devontae, you wanted to leave, Vegas, thinking that you were gonna be in a better situation. Maybe you are. Doesn't look like that you are. But speaking of Vegas, Luke Getsy, you are not competent enough to do your job. I don't know how you got hired. I don't know. I don't know how you can hire a guy that did what he did and had at his previous post in Chicago. I just don't get it. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody tell me how a team can look like that under that person as an offensive coordinator and think that you're going to get hired again in the National Football League. I just don't get it. The Raiders will turn it around. I believe that. And Luke Getsy, it's not personal. I hope that you do well. I'm rooting for y'all to do well. But, man, your offense is so atrocious. It's tough. Look, that's it for this episode. I fucking ranted a lot, man. But look, man, this is right after week 8 in the NFL. So I feel like there's a lot of things that are happening that you're able to see the development of the trajectory and development of where your team stands, where every team kind of stands in the NFL. And I just feel like storylines are beginning to come full force. And it's time to, kind of rant about some of the shit that happened.